Hello and welcome to this video where I will explain how I went about replacing the speakers in my E46 Coupe, or rather upgrading them. There's a lot of confusing information that I found online. Some owners report one thing, others report the complete opposite. But in this video I'll just explain what I did. So these are JBL Stage2 604C component speakers. So there's the woofer, the tweeters there. Now some owners claim that you can't fit 16.5-inch speakers in the front. Well, clearly you can with adapters. There is an issue with depth. So here is the original speaker. The issue is basically with the basket depth and magnet size. These are actually not as deep as the factory speakers, so these JBLs are actually excellent, I think, in terms of space. You don't need to do anything in terms of modifying your door skins. Obviously you do have to use an adapter. So this is 16.5 centimeter adapter. There's some you can go about screwing it in different ways. I screwed it sort of from the back. Please feel free to tell me that's wrong, but that's how I did it. The screws do not foul anything around the back, so that's all fine. I had an issue with the adapter. This particular adapter, the seller claimed that on eBay that it fits any aftermarket 16.5 centimeter speakers. It does not. It doesn't certainly fit these. Basically, the bolt pattern, the holes were spaced a little bit differently on the adapter than the speaker, so I've just had to re-drill the holes myself. But other than that, once you remove your standard speaker, there is a ring. Where is it? Yeah, so there's a ring which basically sits on the door card, and then the speaker sits on top of the ring. I've removed the ring. I found that it was just easier to fit directly to the holes with the adapter. I've mounted the crossover sort of out here. This one's like a little bit chunky. You can see this like about almost 4 fingers wide, but nothing fancy. Like I said, I'm not going after any trophies with this install. It's just something basic, but I've put like a double-sided Velcro tape here just for my own sanity, secured it with some duct tape, of course. The tweeter, you can, depending on like what set of speakers you get. In my set they came with these surface mounts as well, so angled. I thought about drilling some holes and putting these like on the back of where the mirror adapters are inside the car, but like once I've sort of put it there, it didn't really kind of fancy it, didn't look right to me. So instead I've taken this adapter off. This is just a factory adapter that comes in the door. The original tweeter, which is absolutely tiny. You can see the size difference. Obviously this is like an outer skin, but still this tweeter is quite a lot bigger than the factory one. So the factory tweeter sits here. Now I think in some of the more premium spec cars you do have an additional speaker here. Mine was just blank, so I've just cut a hole out. Feel free to find your own way of cutting it. I've basically just drilled a lot of holes and then just cut through the thin membrane and then popped that out, filed it, and it sits there nicely. You can get aftermarket sort of foam baskets. Luckily these BMW ones fit quite well. All you have to do is, there is actually an additional ring that sits in here, so you can just like tear it out. It's like perforated, and they sit quite nicely there, you can see. So there you go. I know haven't used any sound deadening It's not a priority for me at the moment. Feel free to obviously use sound deadening if you want to. I might add it in the future. At the moment there's some other things that I need to spend money on this particular car, suspension wise, so you know, this is just a quick install. Now, an additional comment: I have tried to fit these speakers with these adapters into the rear deck or shelf, whatever you want to call it. Mine is a coupe. It does not fit. Basically, it's all to do with the factory baskets on these speakers are, you know, somewhat more narrow or something like that. So I'm not saying no 16.5 centimeter speakers will fit, but these definitely do not using these adapters. The basket is just too wide, so they kind of roughly sit into the space, but the basket just fouls and they sit too high. Maybe, you know, you can find some other speakers that will fit, but certainly not these JBLs. They will not. They're just too wide. The issue seems to be literally, the issue is this basket. You can see it's got this flange around the edge of this basket, so yeah, unfortunately it does not fit. So I hear that smaller speakers do definitely fit. I think 13 centimeters or something like that, they fit. So I might just do that at some point, but no, anyway, here it is. It might just provide you with some clarity about what you need to do, because I certainly found it confusing when I was trying to find information online. I found a lot of, you know, conflicting information on forums and, you know, Facebook pages and so on. So these speakers definitely fit. You do have to sort of modify some little bits. You have to maybe like cut some small tabs here because they kind of foul, but if you've got some nice sharp snips, they cut through them quite easily. And obviously, other than cutting a hole for the tweeter and trimming a little bit of plastic here and re-drilling holes in the adapter, everything else is quite easy. In terms of plugging it in, I bought these adapters. So there's a female one, and that plugs directly into the BMW harness in the door. So these are excellent. It just means I can just plug it in. The only soldering I've had to do is to extend the cable for the tweeter, but these are very good. So I'll show you where. Oh, here is the piece of paper, sorry, bag. You'll find them on eBay or some other, you know, Amazon maybe. Interestingly, I've just noticed that it says Mercedes, so, you know, perhaps these generation of cars, Mercedes and BMW, share the same some of the same harness components. But yeah, so these are actually quite good. It just means you don't have to solder or anything like that. You can just plug directly into your original wiring in the doors. So there you go.